Good evening. This is your Sensei Al Bob. I'm coming to you through our show, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. Oh, this afternoon show, I started out, and then a friend dropped by, and that's what I do. I drop whatever I'm doing for a friend. And he's an interesting gentleman. He has a lot of experience. And yet, he is a good metaphor, a good representation of what a good citizen is. He served his country his whole life. And he saw things and he tried to do better. And by doing so, he was exposed to things that, as we all, I was speaking of the toxic environment that we are surrounded in. A financial or commerce or economic poison, a spiritual poison, where we are driven past understanding who we are in wanting to have social status. And we sell our life for stuff. And that stuff is quite poisonous. And the other toxin is our inability to understand who we are, why we are here, what are we doing, what's the meaning to our life. It's not about paying our bills, because we live in a land, a planet, a solar system, a galaxy, a universe of abundance. Yet, the poverty of self-delusion makes us destroy our planet to create stuff that gets thrown away, and we destroy our planet more to create useless stuff that we throw away. And in a short period of time, we have gone from hunter-gatherers, where we understood all our relations and our position and place in it, to a place where we arrogantly think we can destroy our Mother Earth, Gaia. And see, Gaia cannot be destroyed. And the more we try to destroy Gaia, all we are doing is destroying ourselves. And it's not a political matter, a financial matter, a military matter. It's really an individual spiritual matter. And I have a sense, I constantly speak of all our relations and the great lake of the link. We are all one. We are not individuals. Now, we are 7 or so billion folk on this earth, but I feel we are one soul. And the illness, the disease that we sense is this separation of our oneness by the illusion of our avatars. We feel these bodies. This is me. This is me. No, this isn't me. You, you are me. All of you. Everyone out there is me. And you all are I. And it is. Now we have been here 1 billion years in different forms, experiencing the same raison d'etre of what are we doing here? And the only way we can harmonize is through understanding we are the one. We all are our relations. And it isn't the stuff, you know? Maybe I can read it now. Let's see. Well, that's what I'm here to do, to interact with people. That's my, I go out not to have, I go out there to interact with people. That's what I'm here to do. Whoops. That's why I'm doing this channel. I'm interacting with you, my cadre. Because we are all one. We are all our relations. We are here on this earth experiencing this situation so we can ascend. So we won't have to be this child, childhood's end, right? And there are forces that are playing us. We are being played as a species. And they really can't play us unless we allow them to play us. And what I am here to do is to be the griot, to show by telling the story, giving that reference point where all our relations can understand not to get played. History is a lie. What we're told is a lie. School is a process of dumbing down. They are in the process of getting rid of books, so you can have your little reader, Oh, that's clean. There's nothing better than clean glasses, And when the glasses are dirty, you see through this film, and they're little smudges, and you can't quite see it clearly. And to understand your life, you have to see it clearly. That's what it's about, seeing it clear. If I have to wear 5 pairs of these things, I will. Ben Franklin had glasses where he could, there were like 10 different lenses, right? And that was before the Dollar Tree, So these are my Ben Franklin Dollar Tree glasses, right? And we have to be able to look in the mirror and see how funny we are so we can laugh at ourselves. Because when we laugh at ourselves, that's when we have insight, when we have knowledge, when we have appreciation of truth. What is truth? Truth is when you can look in a mirror and laugh at yourself. What is God? God is, well, really, no. Truth is a river, and God is the mouth of the river. Water, pouring, I'm an Aquarian. I'm the guy who pours the water out of the vase, and that's bringing you truth. That's what the Aquarian does. And that's why we're going into the Aquarian age, you know? And between now and 2036 is this very tenuous period before our planet right now is harmonically ascending. And Gaia, which is more, it's the spirit of our planet. And our planet goes through these cycles. Like I said, I started doing this when I realized last May, when I was studying a number of old cycles, I got to a library where I had access to a number of things that I wanted to check out. And I said, whoa, look at this. Look at all of these galactic trends that, some of them go all the way back to the Big Bang, right? And right now, how human beings have biorhythms. Well, the galaxy has biorhythms. And we are now coming to a point, a place where, like again, my next, the 40 days and 40 nights, we have to study this. We have to go into and that's why I started doing, I came here so I could do guided meditations with you guys. So I could show you the tools that you could ride the river of truth and have the vision to see the mouth of God, which is love's co-creation. And things are getting, this is only 2019. This is the beginning of things getting strange, right? And we won't get to this place of hiatus until 2035. 2012 was like, we started coming down. We're not even at the bottom, right? We probably won't get to the bottom until 2022, 3 years from now. We're like heading towards that bottom like a rocket ship, just like Wile E. Coyote with the Acme rocket strapped to his back. That's us, right? So we got another 3 years of whee. Now there are great, great, great pieces of wisdom on the internet, on Google, on YouTube. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. And I'm going to spend a little homework time tomorrow and make a list of, you should see, like I said, there are a lot of people who are doing really interesting work. And there are a lot of people doing great shamanic work. I mean, a lot of people have meditation channels. Now, they're not like this, but they are good in their own way, and they're more traditional. And they stem from many different historical, spiritual points of view. And they're all very good to see, Like one of our brothers, members of our cadre, is a novitiate of Mayor Baba. Great teachings there. Right? And there are many, many great teachings. And we can't just believe. We have to pull the thread to get clarity. So we have to look at everyone's vision, not just ours. We can't be stuck in a, tribal sensibility where it's us and everybody else is wrong. Religions like Christianity is a good one. Oh, we have to be, sympathetic, not sympathetic. What's the right word? What's that symbol you see on people's cars where everyone's supposed to like get along, but we know better. You know, and pretty much every religion's that is. We have what is the word when you're being not sympathetic, but you let people be. Oh, we're just going to let them be them, but we're right, they're wrong. But hey, it's not our place to. No, no. We have to put ourselves in everyone's shoes because we are all them. Yes, coexist. Yes, that kind of little fancy thing on the back of people's bumper. Life and this experience is more than a bumper sticker. We have to do more than coexist. We have to co create with love, with everyone, because they are all our relations. And until we realize and experience and internalize and make happen the realization of all of us co-creating with love, we're just going to be in the same, you think this weirdness, this is the first time, this is special. No, we've been here a million times. That's one of the nice parts of the third Matrix movie, when Neo, he kicks everyone's ass and he's in the office of the architect. And there's like a zillion TV screens, right? It's just like the Akashic Record. We got the big screen and then the 28 little screens. And the architect shows Neo all the different times he was there right at that same time. And he was screaming, he was crying, he was praying, he was this, he was that. He was an Easter bunny. He was Father Christmas. Meaning we have to break this donut, this rut, this being stuck. We have to face this place where we become one. So, we're getting 7 people now. So, I think this evening's guided meditation is going to be going into state, going into our Akashic record, going into our, once we evacuate all our anger, fear, hate, and we will go into our sanctuary of our choosing, our superconscious mind, and we will go to the meadow and sit down on the world's planetary, galactic, largest picnic blanket where all our relations can be on our picnic blanket with each other. And that the sun, the photonic sun, will hit us and we will ooze into Gaia. Okay, so that's where we're going tonight, right? So let me turn off the bright lights of the fog of the illusion of illumination. Okay, everyone. Oh, get yourself seated, relaxed, put in a safe place. Put the cat out, send the kitties to bed, and relax. And breathe in that extra 20%. Breathe it in. Fill your lungs. And then breathe out that 30%. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And as you do, your conscious mind will go into a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. See it clearly. And 1. You're breathing in that 20%. You're breathing it in, breathing it in, breathing it in. And the only way you can do this is focusing your conscious mind on your breath. because you normally breathe autonomically, meaning the automatic pilot. But, sometimes you don't breathe enough. Most times you don't breathe enough because you get so distracted by those irrelevant anxieties of separation. Whenever you don't get enough oxygen into your lungs, what happens is they settle. They kind of, you know, don't puff out. And thus, when you're breathing in whatever little oxygen or air, you're not breathing in the prana because your alveola, the little sacs in your lungs, have to puff out. The only way they can puff out is if your diaphragm lifts. The only way your diaphragm can lift is if you breathe in the 20%. And then your conscious mind, that squirrel in the metal cage of your Rolodex mind, gets occupied, then goes to sleep. And then, and only then, will the prana go into your lungs. And then the prana gets carried from your alveola, which have been expanded by your diaphragm lifting, by you breathing 20% in more and breathing out 30% more. And you breathe out 30% more because it makes the breathing of the 20% in a lot easier. And not only a lot easier, by doing it this way, the 20% in and 30% out, you won't hyperventilate, right? So, and one, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. And your lungs are expanding, and the prana is entering into your areola, and the little cilia are, are being energized by the prana. And as the blood goes through your lungs, it's carrying the prana with it. And as the blood goes through your arteries and your whole cardiovascular system, it swirls. It doesn't go blub 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 blub. It swirls. It swirls clockwise against the walls of your cardiovascular system, and then inside of that, it swirls counterclockwise, and inside of that, it swirls 90 degrees clockwise inside of that swirl. And what does that do? It creates, because your blood is so full of iron, it creates a polyphase electric current, right? And it's not the kind of electricity that goes through the wire. It is the kind of toroidal, energetic energy of the vacuum. And that is photonic energy on a scalar frequency. Everything is frequency. And as we are and have entered into the Aquarian age, our galaxy is harmonically ascending. And by our breathing in the prana of this ascending galaxy, so is our energetic self, our chakras. And if we do this, if we go in state 5, 10 times a day and go into our Akashic record, our library, we will energize our consciousness higher and higher into our chakras and out of our lower chakras. The whole period of the Piscean age, we were stuck in our lower chakras. We couldn't get, above our stomach. We were all stuck in the creature comforts. Like your sensei Alba, for 10 years, was stuck in a swimming pool of chocolate mousse. I couldn't get past my stomach because it had gotten so large. I was weighing in at almost 500 pounds. I was consuming almost 20,000 calories a day. And that's why I got diseased with, diabetes and neuropathy, and Charcot legs, and diabetic eyes, and my spleen was kind of giving out, and other organs weren't happy either. And so I had to die. And that bowl of spaghetti and that very expensive, um, hollandaise slash truffles sauce, right? And that had lobster in it. And I died in that bowl of pasta. And then I came back, after I went back, I had that near death experience. I saw my masters, I was all ready for the party, the balloons, the noisemakers. But they just smiled at me and patted me on the shoulder and said, "You're doing a great job. You got to go back there, though." I said, "Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, this is the sixth time." And they said, "Well, if you don't finish the job now, you still have three more deaths to go through." I said, "Okay, okay, okay." And that was the lesson I learned back in '88, that you have to complete before you can move on, because otherwise you kind of just go from pillar to post, as my mother would say. And so I learned how to complete, I completed everything I could do in New York City. I moved to, you know, my project at Cornell and spent 3 years in Ithaca and did everything I could do there. And then I moved on and I was, a ranger or a where we found rainbow gatherings. I traveled America for a good year on the Rainbow Road, being a scout. But I was more a ranger because I wasn't just scouting. I was doing what I did this afternoon. You saw me being a ranger, being at ease, being awake, being able to serve that which needs to be served the most. I was talking to you, my cadre, but then someone walked into my peripheral, and obviously, he saw what I was doing, but he knew me and knew what I could do for him, and so that's what I did. I first documented a little bit of what I do as a ranger, and then I turned the camera off so he could talk to me in a more personal, private way. We caught a good, I got what I wanted you to see, you know, and that's what you're feeling right now. You're breathing in that 20%. You're filling your lungs with the prana. The prana is going all through your cardiovascular system, bringing that to your cells. And your cells are the representation of Gaia, the little planets, in your, you know, bag of water, in your avatar. And you are watching the prana excite your mitochondria around each cell, and you're watching the zipper open up of your DNA and the cell go through mitosis, separation, and you know recreation of another cell. And when we can do this in a state of ease, that's when we're going to live 3, 4, 500 years. We don't need to put nanotech into our bodies and become transhuman, because if we do that, that will be the worst. So you think your avatar is a kind of all these. I want to kill myself. I can't stand this. Oh, this life sucks. Just try being a transhuman. you know, a robot, because that's what a transhuman's going to be, a robot. And the really interesting thing is to see how quickly this technology is coming on. Meaning, back in 1890, well, no, let's see. Yeah, Now, let's say right now it is 2019. Just think what it was in 1919. It was like the Stone Age, right? But the technology that we have now was invented back in, pre-Egyptian times, you know, when Atlantis and Lemuria were around, you know, back when Tartaria was around. And that's where these technologies came from. And, we didn't just think them up in the last 40 years. Just think what things were in 1969, when I graduated high school, you know, just think 1969, you know, barely a semiconductor, you know, and those semiconductors were just a little bit better than a transistor. And then, 69, 79, 89, 99. Just think of those 30 years. That was like we went in. We saw Star Trek in 1969, and we were living Star Trek in 1999, and then from 69 to 2009, and then from 2009 to 2019, we've gone way past because out there and around our solar system, we have solar warden. I gave a speech. I was part of an NGO that was a alternative technology, right? And we were tasked with figuring out simple things that would change the world. And the first thing we came up on was we discovered that UV kills whatever deadly thing will kill you in water. So we devised, soda, plastic soda bottles were all over the planet, right? And we came up with this idea that if you were in Africa and you had a sock, a funnel, and a clear plastic 1 liter soda bottle, you could go to the river, you could put that sock over the funnel, stick the bottle in, or without the funnel, just the sock over the opening of the bottle and let water go in. So all the crass particulate wouldn't quite go in the bottle, right? Then you put the top on the bottle and you stick it in the sun for 3 days, right? And then you have another clear plastic soda bottle, and that's when the funnel comes in handy. And you take your sock and you put it over the funnel, and you pour the water from one clear plastic soda bottle into the other, put the lid, and put it in the sun for another 3 days. Then that water was like distilled. There was nothing in it, no bugs, no nothing, except maybe if there was like a chemical, really poisonous, thing. But even that, I mean, our research showed that 95% of the times, if you did that just out of your stream in Africa or any other third world place, within 6 days, you'd have potable water, right? And if you had 100 of those bottles and you did 50 and then poured it in the other 50, you'd have 50 liters of potable water in 3 days, right? So we did that. We just sent like little mimeograph little books out into the third world through UNICEF, and people started doing it, and it worked. I mean, the level of infant mortality through diarrhea through drinking water went down by 40% the first year, and then other waterborne diseases was dropping precipitously. So what happened the next year? All of the bottling companies changed their bottles from clear black up clear plastic bottles that would allow the UV to go through to green bottles that had material in it to block UV. And that was only one of the, 100 ideas of things that people could figure out how to save their lives and keep their children and their loved ones alive by just going through the garbage. And that's kind of why I ate that lunch that day out of a dumpster. Yes, I had no money and was hungry, but I showed you guys on it because that's what it's about. And so I stayed, in that NGO because I helped start it. I had a little ego attached to it. And it had some, connects. You meet some pretty amazing people at the UN. And I was making some pretty amazing connections. But anyway, we were having a symposium. I guess it was 1987. And the internet had been around a good deal, but it was just becoming the World Wide Web. And we did the first, planetary World Wide Web symposium on peace through alternative technologies' ability to bring prosperity without materialism, meaning profit, to the world, right? And so I proposed this, and this was after the Hopi showed up with the Hopi prophecies, and grandfather David was one of the people who showed up, and I hadn't seen him since '71, and it was really great. And when they came to give the Hopi prophecy, because the white buffalo had been born, and they, a lot of people knew about the Hopi prophecy, so the elders said, "Hey, we're ready to give it to you guys." So they came to UN, in a big auditorium, the big ceremony. Everybody was there, and everyone was in their fancy clothes, and the elders came in with the clothes they wore every day, jeans and shirts, and they had a big kettle drum, and they started playing the kettle drum. And I sat at the feet of Grandfather David, and they had the TV cameras. They had three TV cameras, and they just started drumming, drum, 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 and they were going into shamanic state. And all the diplomats got bored because these guys went past 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they went into state. And nobody there, except for a few, knew what was going on. And we explained it. We had the mimeograph. They had, breathe in the 20%, out the 30%. I had a number of little, these guys are going to show up next week and we're going to do this. And I had a couple of little, lectures on how to appreciate the Hopi prophecies. And, I did it 3 times. It could have had 300 or 400 people, you know, somewhat trained slash 411 on what it was going to be like. Hardly, 2 or 3 people showed up, right? And we had the ceremony, and we did it, and basically within the half an hour, all the diplomats walked out, and these guys kept drumming, right? And the TV guys who were, the cameramen, they just locked their cameras and they left. And again, I was stayed at grandfather's feet and bathed in his love for me and the shamanic field that these guys were creating. And I was, being the little pebble in the pond. That's what he used to call me, my little pebble in the pond. Anyway, so I was making the waves, and we were carrying it, right, in all through that auditorium, onto the video cameras, into the videotape. It was probably being beamed somewhere, and we did that. And the prophecies were given in song and in shamanic field. And right now, I am reliving that moment, and I am dropping the pebble into the pond and sending that wave out to all of you. you are now experiencing harmonically the Hopi prophecies. They are becoming part of you as you breathe in the prana, and the energetics are going through your blood, creating through the swirls, the scalar waves that are causing each of your cells, the little universes of your each universe cell, and that's you're seeing the connection as the cells separate, and you see the DNA, zippering apart, and the RNA causing that to occur, and it's being bathed in the photonic light of truth, in your mitochondria, and in that DNA, as you're seeing it zip apart, you are seeing the Hopi prophecy. See it now. And one, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You have enlightened yourself with a photonic light, and you are feeling in every cell as your cells are mitosing and the DNA is zippering apart. You're feeling the Hopi prophecy, and you are rewriting your DNA with the Hopi prophecy. See this clearly. This is a transformative moment in all of your lives. This is another step of ascension as you are my adepts. You're ascending. You are experiencing the Hopi prophecies. See it clearly. I think it was in the 80s, because in the again, there is no linear time, but you guys should be experiencing your DNA being unzipped and inserting the Hopi prophecy into your DNA. Come on, guys. Go into state. Forget looking things up. You can go back and look them up. Come on, experience. I mean, you're being zipped up. This is a pretty intense shamanic ceremony here, gang. Okay. And one, you're going into a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation. You have illuminated yourself by bringing in the prana into your blood and grounding each cell into your chi, right? Into Gaia. This is the Hopi prophecy, the you know energetic transformation of the individual into the one. All our relations. See it clearly, and you're taking this shamanic photonic light and bringing it to your imaginary mirror. See it clearly, and you're illuminating yourself with this photonic light. There are no shadows. See it clearly. And the thing about time that's irrelevant is that people are starting to experience this thing called the Mandela effect. And the fact is that the Mandela effect has been going on for since the Big Bang. Because when you feel that, oh, when you feel that thing called deja vu, that is the Mandela effect. Because you're going down the track of your life. And then someone hits the switch, you know, and one foot is going down that track and the other foot's going down this track. And when you get stretched through shamanic space, that's when you feel the essence of deja vu. And then you spring back, like bang, you spring back, right? And I am everywhere in everything all the time. So it doesn't matter when anything happens because it's what is going on at this moment where I am awake, where I am conscious, right? Like Buddha, the traveler says, "Man, are you God?" "No." "Well, what are you, man? What are you?" "I'm awake." So it doesn't matter what the date was, what the time was, or anything. What matters is the energy that you are experiencing. See it clearly. That is the irrelevance of time. Because we are just one. We are all our relations. Not just Fish or Twitchy or Jane. We are all one. So say we all. And as you're illuminating your everything in your imaginary mirror, you walk through it and you shine that light like a lamp. And you shine a lamp on the wall, what's it show? A spot, right? And we can fixate on that spot, or we can expand the beam to cover the whole wall and see everything in that wall. All that is beautiful and all that is not as beautiful. And it is like Plato's treatise on the cave. There we are staring at the wall where the open door behind us is shining in the light. The light comes over us and creates a shadow. We see the shadow on the wall and we think that's reality. That's our life. Where if we turned around and walked out into love's co-creation, we would be flooded with photonic light. But no, we live in the shadow of the Luciferian illusion of materialism and time. Right? Sorry, there is no time. And as we go through, this window of opportunity for the next untimely years, things are going to get weirder and weirder and weirder because we're on those two tracks and one foot's going this way and one foot's going that way, and we haven't snapped into our ascending self. We're just being kind of torn apart. We're experiencing the duality, right? And two, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind, that little squirrel in the metal cage of your Rolodex mind, is asleep. And you're breathing in that 20%, and you're breathing out that 30. And as you breathe out 30, you are expelling more waste product from your body than your piss and shit every day, right? Your real elimination is your breath. So that's why I keep saying, guys, go into state 5-10 times a day, because you have to do this process of breathing in the prana, healing every cell of your body, energizing it with the contact to Gaia through your chi, and you're expelling all of the crap, all of the GMOs, all of the, nano dust, all of the crap, the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be, and the sock puppets are trying to fucking kill you with. Ay, ay, ay. And again, I'm going to make a little list of things you need to go watch on YouTube because you guys keep dropping this stuff. This oh, I forget what her last. She's a doctor or something or other, and she is a physicist, and she worked at CERN, and she's been, has seen all of the hidden hand stuff, and she's like, I love this woman because she gets, she goes to work, she works, and she comes home, she's really pissed off, and at 3 in the morning, she does a live chat or one of her videos where she is like just spilling the beans on everything that's going on, and she is like, those motherfucking, and you see this like very elegant European woman, astrophysicist, knows like 10 languages, and she is just livid about what's going on. And somebody, you got to watch this woman. And I did. And I said, I love this girl. And she, shitheads, scumbags, motherfucker. And then she stops and goes, oh, I'm getting too excited here. And she'll go back to her scientist self and explain things very technically, very clearly. And then she starts to get wound up again and is screaming, motherfucking motherfucker. I love this girl. And that's what you guys need to see because there's a guy from Australia. He is the most clearest, whereas this woman loses it, this guy gets calmer and calmer and calmer. And you think I have long chats. His go 4, 5, 6 hours, and they're amazingly full of deep technical stuff that you need to know. So I'm going to do two things. Go through all these things I've been watching. And I figured out there's my history of the stuff I watch that you guys can't see. But there is another list of like favorites or, that you can. That if I hit that little thumbs up or bell or whatever, it'll put it on that list. And you can go to my channel and look at favorites or whatever, or watch this or whatever it is. And playlist or whatever. And you'll be able to see these. So I'm going to try and do that. And then I'm going to write down their names and their addresses on the internet. And the next one we do, I will have that list prepared for you, right? And if I go to this trouble, you better freaking watch this. Because it really puts things into perspective, at least on the illusionary scale, meaning what's going on in the material world, the political world, the blah, 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 blah world, And so when you see me in the library and there's that circle of chairs, the librarian has set that up for me so I can sit there and people will come over and ask, just like the man did, will come and talk to me and either ask me technical questions. I mean, this one guy once came up to me, are you the guy who knows everything? I mean, that's like, oh, you should go upstairs and see the guy upstairs. He knows everything, right? Now, there are a bunch of guys who are at that line, but there was a bigger circle downstairs in the coffee shop that a bunch of us old fools used to sit at. And there were three guys who, thought they knew everything and told everyone that they knew everything. Me, I don't ever say. And when people come, you're the guy who knows everything, right? And I go, well, I really don't think so, but try me. Another guy who was a surgeon. He knew everything. He was God. And there was another guy who was in, oh, I don't even know how to explain him, but he was, you know, to call him in intelligence it would be an oxymoron. But anyway, these three guys, so there were about six of us who would sit and talk. There was the cowboy, and there was the preacher. And the cowboy and the preacher were, they're like, I mean, all of the guys in my circle. And I was the dead guy. I mean, I was like, this is when I was really sick and I had clamps on my leg and I was walking with a walker and I had no, it wasn't eating anything really. And I was losing weight, right? Because I had to lose weight to die, not to die. And so I would go there because it was the only place that I wouldn't get kicked out of. And the librarian who ran the place liked me. So she put a circle, a very comfy chair so I could sit and people would come and talk to me. And she did stuff like that. She still is there. Anyway, but it was a bit too public because there'd be the eight old guys and gals talking about stuff. And then people started bunching, or, we sometimes when we would be discussing stuff, we'd have 30, 40, 50 people around us listening to what we were saying in the coffee shop. And that's what I want you guys to do. Find yourself a coffee shop and do that. Get your own circle. Have a salon, potluck dinners. We need to expand this, right? And you need to, bring in the cadre, right? So anyway, so today you kind of saw a little bit of that. The old guy who he wanted to talk about something, and so and what he likes is that I don't rush him. We can start talking in any old way, and then when it gets to that place, that's why I turned the camera off because he was getting to that place where I knew we were going to start talking about stuff that which shouldn't be on the World Wide Web. And so he could feel better, That's what he wanted. He wanted to tell me something so he could feel better. So, and that's what we did. And that's my service, basically. That's what I do, right? And that's what I do for you guys. So, too, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation. Your avatar is on remote control. Your conscious free will, your ascended conscious free will, is awake and in your library. You're walking into your library. In front of you is the fireplace with the eternal blue flame, and the whole place is made up of books. And in front of the fireplace are the nice little comfy chairs for guests. In front of that is your reading table. Behind that is your reading chair. To the left is your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel. And your reading table is illuminated with photonic light, so you can see clearly. And librarian brings your Akashic record. You open it up, 2 blank pages, right hand on the right page, left hand on the left page, and you lean in and you evacuate all of your anger, all of your fear. Yes, art is the answer in its totality, in its culture, right? That's why I want to create the humanities artist trust. The only people you can trust are artists in the first person, not the guy who's running the art business, money for God's sake. No, it's art for art's sake, right? And, so the artist trust, that's the only people you can trust. International, meaning all our relations, not just people in this town or this country or this no, or this economic group, no. It's everybody. See it clearly. Because art is the vehicle, the palette that allows everyone to express themselves truthfully. Yep. I look forward, Dragon. the art you sent me was brilliant. So, in every day and every way, we take the piece of the earth and we make it stronger with love's co creation. And that's what is one of the vehicles of love's co creation is anything in creation, in the act of creation. And one of the great humanity's skill set for doing this is art and culture. Now, art and culture have been turned into commodities as everything else, and that's one of the things we have to draw back. We were not put on this earth just to be merchants, merchants of death. No, you know, because that is what our culture is at this minute. Everything we do is the merchant of death. You know. Now, individually, you as the artist in the first person, the savage, just like Orwell's Savage in Brave New World, that's a different story. But in the fashion, in the TV, in the media, in the all of that, those are all arts, really great art form, but they have been corrupted to basically manifest death. They are death eaters, right? And we are eating death, when we eat our GMO cheeseburger, we're eating death, Even when we're eating this is, organic food. Not really. And two, you have eliminated all of your anger, all of your fear, all of your hate, your self-loathing, and you're as light, as light as a balloon. See it clearly. And you now get up and you walk over to the open door that is the bridge of your id, going from your subconscious mind to your superconscious mind, from your library of your Akashic record, which is your subconscious mind, over your id into your superconscious mind, which is the sanctuary of your own choosing. And your hand is on the rail, and you're going up the steps, and now you're walking over the bridge. You're at the top of the bridge. You're looking down into your sanctuary, and you're overstanding who and what you are. You're seeing the meaning to your raison d'etre. See it clearly. And you walk over the bridge, and as soon as your foot hits your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing, you feel love's unconditional love for you. You feel love's unconditional forgiveness because you've done nothing wrong. You see the clarity when you guys, you artists of the cadre, create within the frame of illumination of the photonic light of love's co-creation, you guys are going to be cooking with gas. Cooking with photonic light, that's what you're cooking with. See it clearly. Now I want everyone to walk over to the meadow and lie down on the world's galactic universe's largest picnic blanket where all our relations are. And I want you to lie back, lie back, lie back. Yep, photonic candles. Ugh. Lie back on your picnic blanket and rest. And feel the photonic light from the sun above just oozing into every pore of your body. And you turn, liquefy, and you go through the blankie, into the earth of the meadow, and you connect with all of the roots of the grass and the trees and the bushes and the flowers and all of our ancestors in the earth and all of the fungi, all of the fungus. And you become all of everything. See it clearly. And I'm going to be quiet here for a moment or two while you experience that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey. Hey. And you're flying across the Great Plains on your pony. And the wind is rustling through your long hair. And the photonic light is bathing your exposed skin of your chest and your legs and your arms and your head. Only your loincloth is the only covering you have. And you have feathers and you have paint on you. And you are a moving piece of art. And as you move across the plains, the photonic light vibrates and reflects off of you and connects with all of your relations, 9 generations into the future and 9 generations into the past to our elders. See it clearly. And you come to a stop. A river is at your feet. Your horse, your pony, leans its head down to get a drink. And you're standing on top of your pony. And you're as light as a balloon. And you see over on a mesa a glint. And the glint flies at you in a blink of an eye and is there in front of you. Your pony has its head in the water, and you're standing on its back, and in front of you is a saucer-shaped, extraordinarily gleaming, almost a soap bubble. And you float above your horse's back and towards the bubble. And you move up to the bubble and you transfer yourself through the bubble into the bubble. And what is inside the bubble but dark? All that is dark. And in the center of the dark is a fire burning bright. And the flames and the embers are going up, 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 and painting the dark sky in the swirls of galaxies above you. And you float to the fire circle, and you land on the terra firma of Gaia, and around you, in the light's illumination of the fire, you see faces. And behind the illuminated ones, you see blinking eyes. And those eyes go back into infinity. And you realize you're around the fire, the great fire pit of the universal plane with all of your relations. And the rattle of ant starts to sing. And you're seeing all of this totality of all your relations. And then you see rainbows. And you see crystalline forms. And you realize what you're seeing is all your relations through your tears of joy. See it clearly. And this is the Hopi prophecy. You are seeing the Hopi prophecy. You're seeing the Hopi prophecy as it was manifested on a stage at the United Nations somewhere between 1984 and 1994. And within the construct of the Mandela effect, of the construct of deja vu, you are there in all of that time. You're feeling yourself stretched like a rubber band between 84 and 94. See it clearly. And in every day and every way, you take the piece of the earth and you make it stronger. And that is your prayer. That is what the mantra of the Hopi prophecy is. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. Aho. And in every day, in every way, we will take the peace of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation, for we are the shock troops of love's co-creation. See that stronger. And within the construct of our Gaia, our Mother Earth, we will ground our chi. From our Father Sky, we take the prana and take it into our chi, which we will share and ground into Mother Earth. And this will protect Mother Earth from the death walkers, the death eaters. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now in the hour of death. Amen. Aho. And in every day and every way, we take the peace of the earth and we make it stronger in love's co-creation. And that is what we do. Say we all. That is what we're here for. So say we all. What is the meaning of our life? To in every day and every way take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. And you saw me do it this afternoon when I talked to that elderly gentleman who really wasn't that much older than me. See it stronger. And within that service of love's co-creation, we will be the pebbles in the great link that will bring forth a tsunami of love's creation. See it clearly. And there we all are sitting around the fire with all our relations. Feel that love. See through your tears of joy the crystalline beauty of creation. See through the rainbows of love's co-creation, the elevation of your conscious free will's ascension. And every day and every way you take the piece of the earth and make it stronger, you will ascend through your chakras to a place where all things are vibratory and illuminated with the photonic light of love. See it clearly. And I'm going to let you bathe in this photonic light, being focused through the crystalline lens, creating the totality of your chakra's rainbow self. See it clearly. And 3, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You've illuminated yourself and brought yourself to your Akashic record. You've evacuated all the anger, hate, frustration, self-loathing into the Akashic record and close the book, and you become light. Light enough to float over the bridge of your id into your sanctuary of your own choosing, to lay down upon the picnic blanket of the galaxy, and you have oozed your way into the deep darkness of love's co-creation. And you are sitting there around the galactic fire of the eternal flame. The crystalline lens of your imaginary mirror, illuminating the harmonic rainbow essence of your chakras, vibrating in ascension of your conscious free will, and you are co-creating with love, which is bringing forth to you the most transcendental experience of your existence. You're realizing that there is no negative outcome, there is no evil, there is no good, there is only love's co-creation. And all those other things that you experience through your avatar is just that. It's the sandbox of your conscious ability to ascend instead of being stuck. See this clearly. And that's what tonight's remote viewing has been. You know, I'm now going to count from 3 to 1, and then we'll come right back to your avatar. But for now, you're sitting around the fire. I want you to truly experience this transcendental co-creation with love and all of your relations. See it clearly. See yourself all as one. You are that one soul of love's co-creation. See it clearly. Representing in the art form of all of those billions of avatars. And you will go and practice going into state. Because the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. The more you'll be able to do it on your own and to use all these tools that I'm showing you. See it clearly. And 3, you're getting up from your picnic blanket and you're walking over to the bridge, and you're walking over the bridge and you're at the top and you're overstanding all of this and understanding none of it. You walk down into your library of your records, you walk over to your guides, your librarian, your animal totem, guardian angel, and your individual lodge guide, and you bow with respect and appreciation and grace, and they do the same. And 2, you're walking through your imaginary mirror, and 1, you're in your avatar, and you're stretching, and you're breathing, and you're feeling all of your systems coming back online, breathing in, letting go, and 1, you're back here now, and 1, you're back here now. You see it clearly. You will remember this, and tonight, whenever you go to sleep, you will re-experience this. And you can dream this as much as you want. So what are you guys saying here? Let's look at some of the chat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, my nickname, Fish, perfect timing. And again, you can experience this tonight. You know, it's fresh in your little everything, and you can see it as much as you want. You know, just go into state while you're awake and go into dream time when you're asleep. It gives me great pleasure as your sensei that you guys are picking this up. Yep. And you will, the whole thing of being a griot I bring forth the image, I bring forth the story. It kind of goes in you shamanically, and you will get more and more and more out of this little evening as the days go by. Little pieces of dust will get knocked off. Little things will go. Oh wow! I'm just where? Wow! You'll be going wow a lot. Just like uh, just like Dragon said, wow. uh, Don Sensei, you can call me that too. Or is that my brother? And anticipation is one of the better human emotions because what are you anticipating but the experience of hope? And what is hope but the doorway through doo, 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 doo. Yeah, the crystal visions, they're kind of fun. I like those. And seeing your rainbow chakras, right? You kind of saw them and seeing the understanding of, hey, I can ascend this. This is like climbing a rope in gym class. I'm glad all of you adepts were here. I appreciate your presence. And I appreciate all of your hard work in realizing that this isn't hard work. I appreciate you are honing the skill of suspending your disbelief. Well, Dragon, you never lose anything. I never lose anything. Ask Twitchy. I don't know how many times they lost their keys, but they didn't lose them. You know? So, especially the first time out, when we were on the hill overlooking the Great Falls, and I sat on top of the hill and meditated, and they walked down the path to the rushing water, which is the ceremonial part of their marriage. And of course, in that doing that, they lost their keys, and she came. We were getting in the car. Where are the keys? Oh, and that was like, oh, does this mean this ain't gonna work out? And I go, no, don't worry about it. And I told Twitchy's husband to start saying the shamanic prayer. I go, what shamanic prayer? I said, Tony, come around. Something's lost, got to be found. St. Anthony, patron saint of lost things. So, I'm standing at Twitchy's car, thinking, maybe we have to throw a brick through her window to find it. And anyway, so her husband is walking. I say, you walk back the path and see, and he's looking down at the ground and he's going, Tony. And as he walks away at the foot of the path, and goes, look, there they are. He found them right there and then. And that was like, okay, see, that's part of the ceremony. That really means these guys are going to be married, and this marriage is going to be the real thing and is the real thing, right? And we got in the car, and then we went up to this other hill I took them to, big meadow, just like the meadow in your, isn't it, Twitchy? Isn't it like, yes, but what did I say, Twitchy? Get one key to your car and put it in your fanny pack in that sacred, secret little thing. So even though then what do these guys do? The next day, we go to the big fancy art gallery and we park in a place that, we shouldn't have gotten right there. But it was because it was right across. Twitchy, what's the guy's name who's in purgatory? Williams? Was that his name? You know. Anyway, it was a totally charmed 2 days. And Twitchy and her man's her husband's ceremony was like not like 15 minutes or an hour, or it was like 2 days, right? And it was the whole ball of wax, and now they're married. Williams. It was Williams' fault. Exactly. Williams! So we park in this place right next to the museum, and I get out, and I'm thinking I shouldn't lock the door. So somehow that door gets locked, and not only are the keys left in the car, but the engine is still running and the lights are on. Meaning, I say, "Who's this?" And we go over and we read the plaque about Williams, and we're about to turn around and go in to the museum when I notice the lights are on. And I go, "So are the," and then I kind of put my hand on the car, and that engine is so quiet you can't really tell. But I go, did you didn't lock the car, did you? And of course, they locked the car with the keys in the ignition with the motor still running and the lights still on. And they're like, and this is like day 2. And so I'm going to go check to see if the place is open. So I go up there. Not only is the place open, but the cafe is open and they're making omelets. They're starting a new thing where they're going to have breakfast downtown. So I have an omelet and they make really nice potatoes. And I get a really great cup of coffee. And the manager's in there with the alcohol salesman, right? And I'm sitting right next to them. And they're all, it's like, 9:30 in the morning, they're all tasting booze. And I take my coffee cup and like put it out, and the guy looks at me. I said, "Hey, isn't that Bailey's Irish? Put some of that in there." So he doesn't even ask the manager, but puts it in there, and I knock it back and I put the cup there. Anyway, because my omelet hasn't been made yet, so I've had my coffee with 2 Bailey's creams. They fill the coffee up again, and I get up and I got my coffee and I walk out onto the veranda and I see the kids and I'm going, "Hey, how's it going?" And they, "Oh, we've called a lot of people. No one's going to come and open our car up for till 4 in the afternoon. No, we're going to have to wait here." I said, "No, you won't. No, you won't." So I go out and I basically sit down at my table, and the guy brings the omelet as soon as I walk in, and the potatoes, and the nice little hot cross bun, and he fills up my coffee a little bit, and the booze guy puts a little more Baileys in there, and so I do a harmonic prayer, over my breakfast, and I a little that, and put some nice cream cheese on my hot cross bun, and start eating my omelet. Very good omelet. And I'm, not even halfway done with the omelet when the kids show up. And what happens is they were expecting they were going to have to wait by the car till 4, and it was like 9:30 in the morning. And someone goes, "Oh, we'll be right down." And they open it up, and like within half an hour of me going out on the veranda going, "Hey, how you doing?" They come in. They got the keys. It was no bing, bang, boom. Because I did my little harmonic prayer over my omelet. And that's all it takes to, in every day, in every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. And the more you do this, the more you will have faith. I don't believe in anything, but I have faith in love's co-creation. And when you give faith, love's co-creation the opportunity to show itself, like finding the keys on the path and finding the guy to open up the car door, But there's always a price, right? So. Or the second. But Twitchy, didn't that happen just the way I said it, right? Both on finding your car keys on the path and having the person who you didn't expect to show up to just show up and open your car up and yes, it was William's fault. Yep, exactly. See, Williams is like the devil. So we park underneath, the big highway, which is on the corner of where this really amazing art museum is. And we had parked kind of there the day before, but it was a spot that you could, it was one of those lucky spots you could park there all day, no one cared. But just 10 feet over there was a spot for a handicap. And they didn't have the handicap sign. They kind of drew it on on the ground, and they kind of pulled over it without seeing it there. Anyway, so we get out, and why the keys got locked in there is that underneath the this highway overpass, and this isn't a busy road. This is like almost a cul-de-sac, and there's this bronze of this white guy, and the little bronze plaque saying who he was and what. And Williams was the guy who basically destroyed Roanoke, because Roanoke was a city for the worker, and everyone made, it was manufacturing, transportation, and innovation, and everyone had a good job. And then after World War II, and they had urban renewal, Williams was the guy, and he brought the interstate over and through the black community and destroyed 581, took out 2 straight miles of the black economy. All the stores, all the banks, all the hospitals that were black, because Virginia was one of the most segregated places. It bulldozed it all down in less than 2 weeks. I mean, these people had no recourse. And then they were, their whole, what was keeping them alive was destroyed. And then from, 1949, when this happened, and all the way through the 70s, they just kept doing it. They widened Orange Avenue, which was, again, another black business area, and destroyed that. And anyway, so Williams, this white guy who's a real cracker, Ku Klux Klan, Jesse Helms, worse person, did this to Roanoke's black and poor folk. And he's like the evil one. So, he caused them to get the car keys locked in the ignition with the motor running. And B, once I kind of prayed over my omelet and got the keys out, and we were having a great time. We went to the museum, which was amazing. Then we walked through town and saw art galleries and went and visited other groovy places. We walked back, bingo, they had a freaking ticket. And that's all because of Williams. So anytime the cadre, he's going to be like our sacrificial lamb, Williams. Williams! Whenever we want to curse the gods, instead of cursing them, we curse Williams, right? And he was put in a great place, right under the cul-de-sac, underneath the highway. Yep, Williams got her a parking ticket. And there was no sign that said, "Frigging, this is a handicap place," because they kind of put it on the ground, so you park on top of it, you can't see it unless you know it's there. Anyway, but it was all well. Twitchy, wasn't those 2 days all well worth that? Didn't you have a great time? You got married. We played pool. I took her to this place called the Shenandoah, which is like Cheers. I had a lunch date with you guys there. It's where Cheers meets Archie Bunker meets Sanford and Son, and we played pool, right? And I took him to the Texas Tavern. Yep. My green place is right. It's in a total swirly place between North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. Right, in the 200 square mile of Appalachian poverty. I'm 40 miles in any direction to anything, any doctor, any gas station. No, there is a gas station down and a holler down below. But, the closest, Johnson City, Tennessee is almost 50 miles from my front door. Boone, North Carolina is about, what is it? I don't know, 35 miles from my front door. And Bristol, Virginia is maybe 50 miles from my front door. So I'm right in this amazing little square, and 3 different counties. Part of my property is in one county. Just over there is another county. 6 miles is another state. So I'm in a place where no fireman will show up, no ambulance will show up, no hospital, no policemen. I know the sheriffs of the three counties. I've been there for 20 years. And I remember back when I first bought this place, before I turned it over to some other folks, it was a big meth place. It still kind of is a little bit. But OxyContin is really the king there now. Anyway, so I went to one of my sheriffs that I knew pretty well, and I said, "What about these people?" And he goes, "Well, you know, for me to send a car to your neighborhood would cost me $100. And what am I going to do? By the time they get there, they're not going to be doing what you're upset about, right?" So, as I hear that everybody there kind of likes you, they're not going to kill you, and you're doing all the right stuff of being friendly and nice and being your owl self, and you're settling in, and it's all good, right? And he goes, "Listen, they'll be dead in less than a year." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, either between a shootout or them using their own product too much, they'll be dead." And he was right. So those dangerous guys were dead within a year. But then they left their kids, which I had to take care of for the next 15 years, which was okay. I didn't, no, I was happy, happy to do it. Because they all kind of turned out pretty good. So where Twitchy and her beloved came was Roanoke, Virginia. And where the deep green, and this place is dying. Meaning up here at the school, the forest, John goes, "What do you mean? They got leaves?" Well, that doesn't mean the trees are. We had an ice storm. We lost a fifth of the forest, and it wasn't a big ice storm and the wind wasn't blowing too hard. It was just that these trees are on their way out, you know, because when I lived here, this was place was covered in butterflies, covered in birds, covered in snakes and turtles and frogs and everything that creeped and crawled. And now there's nothing. There's no birds. I mean, this used to be like a bird sanctuary. I mean, I'd wake up in the morning and it would just be, it was like an alarm clock. There's nobody left. Even there's a couple of owls here because I'm here, right? But when I leave, they go. And if I go away for more than a few days, they really go. And like last summer, I had left here from May to October, and when I came back, they really weren't here. They came back just before winter really set in, just to say hi, and then they took off. So you have power. Yeah, I got power and water. It's like Cadillac camping. I got a toilet. It's really nice. It's all the best. I got a nice little cabin. But all of my water runs in garden hoses above ground. So once it gets really cold, everything freezes and then nothing works. And it gets I'm in a place where it really gets ridiculously cold. And whereas here in Roanoke, it gets cold, but then, in the daytime, it gets, to 30, 40, 50, right? There, no. It's like 9 degrees below zero, and then during the day, it's 9 degrees, so. And and when we had a big snowstorm here, right? We had about 30 something inches. They had 60 inches of snow in my little holler. Unless it was snowed in here, the snow went away in less than a week. There, it took a month. So it's really hard for me to live there because back in the day, I'd go to Florida. I had a place down in the Florida Keys. So. So I'm in transition, we're doing this, I am, this is going to catch. We're going to have the Humanities Artists Trust International. We're going to have the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology, and we're going to have the Traveling Video Art Circus. And that will be a revenue stream, and that will bring the message of love's co-creation all over the place. And everybody who wants to join the band, this will be a very large revenue stream. Everyone will be, if you get involved in this, you'll make more money doing this than whatever crappy little job you got. even if it's not a crappy little job. It'll be a lot of fun being part of the circus, being something that will be remembered. Like, gang, go look up Circus Oz, you know, and Punch Hawks, as part of that. Or the Big Apple Circus. So look at that, right? Or the Gray Rabbit, right? Or the Green Tortoise. Those were all kind of little fun things I was involved in, became, and collaborative artist projects, right? And PS1, the Knitting Factory, Franklin Furnace. These are all things that I was kind of a part of. The Shoreham, the Stop Shoreham campaign, right? And just like I, visualized this and said, we got to do this, all of those things, it was that. Yes, there are plenty of other people that were much better in the spotlight than me. I was in all of those things that I was involved in. I was just the linchpin, meaning when something had to be taken care of and no one could do it, I'd go do it. Right? When it was a drudge, I made it fun. When people were starting to get, crabby, I was the person who listened. I was the, you know, the grandfather snurf. Just like I did today. If you watch today's afternoon show where that man came and visited me, that was a good, why I kind of videotaped it, because it was a good representation of kind of what I do. I mean, you see what I do with you guys, but this was just kind of what I do in the everyday. And you could see if, you guys who are here and were part of the going into state, the guided meditation tonight, you are sensitive enough to watch any of these shows I do and pick up the shamanic energy that I'm manifesting. And that's what I'm trying to bring forth to you guys, to be your sensei on, That's why I'm your griot, to tell you the story that energetically brings this to you. So, what else you got to say? What's the plan? That's the plan. And I'm a strategist, meaning I cross every T and dot every I. I mean, I've got all of this stuff written down. I've gotten the grants already written, I just need, bodies doing this with me, And now you are doing it, over the internet, and that's great. So this is, that's why I'm your Sensei Alba. This is a class, right? We're all studying. We're all working on it. And I keep telling you about, Humanities Artist Trust International. That'll be the 501c3 umbrella. We will write the grants through. And, we'll have the bylaws and the mission statement. I got it all written, right? Then the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies, right? That'll be just like lots of other institutes, like Carnegie Mellon Institute, things of that nature, Ford Foundation, things like that. That's what what will our institute be looking at in a scholarly manner, not scholastic, it's the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies. Everything's a technology. One man's science is another man's magic, right? And it will be adept and appropriate. Appropriate, with lots of lines underlining it. And the traveling video art circus will be just as it is. It will be a circus that will travel. It'll be videotaped. It'll be live on the internet. And you can buy the DVD, So that's what I want to get cooking by September. I mean, cooking, meaning people there writing stuff, putting it out, getting grants, organizing it, having the base of operations, which is the deep green. And there are other places we can go to that might be in I have people in other cities, Chicago, LA, base of operations, where they can have their circuits there and go off into, this is like Johnny Appleseed. And we're going to be doing it in colleges and college towns and cities that we can drop like a seed, a thing called the freely inquiring to understand everyone and everything on how to make a eco village. Those villages that are self-replicating and sustainable. They don't have to rip down forests or dig up whole areas to get resources to transport across the world into slave labor factories to make an iPhone. Because instead of having an iPhone, we will have people like talking to each other, over a cup of coffee. So, and the template for this will be, if you guys go look up on Google, go Google Ithaca Bucks and go see what Google has to say about Ithaca, New York in 1988 to 91. That's when Ithaca kind of succeeded from the Union and the Federal Reserve and banking and credit cards and cable TV, and had a community. And they basically bartered. The whole city freaking basically bartered and made everything they needed there. And what broke that? People got bored. They wanted to go to Disneyland. They wanted to watch cable TV. They wanted, and so the powers that shouldn't be said, okay, if you don't talk about what you did and tell anyone else how to do what you did, then we'll let you, go back to being asleep. And I think it did that. But I bet you there's still enough people in Ithaca. I mean, it changed Ithaca forever. Before that, it was just, Cornell City. And it stopped being that. And me and this guy in a wheelchair kind of figured this out one evening, over our kitchen table. And then we brought more and more people around our kitchen table. And then they got Grandpa Smurf, even though I was in my 40s. But I've always been, once I kind of grew up, once I got tall, it was hard being Grandpa Smurf when I was, 5'4", but once I got to be 6 foot, I could be Gandalf. And so that's my job. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to excite you guys. That's why I'm your griot sensei, Al Bob. Okay? Okay. No, John Boy is not coming. Only people who can serve loves co-creation. Only people who can think about someone other than themselves. We will pray for John. If but say John wouldn't be able. I can say, sure, come on, John. I mean, we were going to go to New York today, but it didn't happen. We were going to go do this the other day. It didn't happen. We went to Mysticon, where if he had just stayed there, he would have had a great time, because I had a great time. Yep, prayer. I mean, that's the best we can do is pray for John. I've been doing my best for 2.5 years, shamanic ceremony, burning sage, listening to him for 4 hours straight, trying to, and only getting, are you doing this to keep me, it's always my fault. I'm to blame. His mother's to blame. Everybody's to blame. No. The only person to blame about your life is you, me. The only person I ever blame is me, right? But I love John. He's my friend. But no. Because all you have to do is watch the videos on his channel and the few videos of him and my channel, and you'd see that's the reason. And unless Now, if some amazing miracle of love's co-creation occurs and he breaks out of these 41 years of what he's been going, but, I learned very young that when something of a traumatic experience occurs, you need to deal with that trauma right then and there, right? And defuse it from being a trauma. When I was wetting the bed, and my grandma took me to see the movie Forbidden Planet, and I saw the scary monster was just a scratch on a 70 millimeter frame. That's when I stopped having fear. And then, I was living in the worst of the worst. I've lived in some war zones. I've lived in places amazing friction and hate and was okay. I defused, in my neighborhoods and wherever I was. It stopped being the war zone, and it brought the warring factions together enough not to kill each other within like a 2.5 mile radius of Al, right? So, unless some miracle like that can occur for my friend John, and I pray that it does. I mean, every day I try. Every day I make him breakfast. Every night I make him a meal. Half the times he says I'm trying to poison him, even though I'm eating the same food, you know. And I listen to the same thing, how would you guys do listening to the same thing over and over again every day and being accused of all that's wrong for 2.5 years? And I use my 3 rules, right? Doctor, do no harm. Don't get involved unless you can have a positive outcome and protect the innocent and get them out of harm's way and learn something. Every day and every way, I manifest those 3 things with John. And that's why I keep doing this, right? And that's what it is. So, John coming along on the bandwagon, and he's invited. That's right. I invite him to everything, but can he do it? I don't know. Like I said, and if he could, man, then we could definitely, you know, it's like so. When I was, I don't know, 32 in Long Island, in this town I lived in, this carnival came through, right, and had the rides and had, the bearded lady and the strong man and all that kind of stuff. It was a carnival, not just one of those things that just has rides, but it had everything. It had shows, had the hoochie coochie girls, everything, right? And so they kind of cruised into my town, and I kind of went down there, and they were setting it up, and I knew all the rides had to be inspected by the inspector, who I knew because I was a contracting kind of guy, and I knew that all the people that they were going to have to get the thing on the letting them do it. So I'm there watching this, and they try to start up their big generator that's running all the rides. And I've been watching them set up, and they knew their mechanics about everything, but for some reason they didn't seem to have an electrician because they were wiring things dangerously wrong. Anyway, so the inspector comes, they get the generator going, they throw the switch, everything blew up. Flames, smoke, all of that, and the guy just forget it. He just kind of put a big X on their permit and says, "Forget this." And that's when I walked in and said, "Hey there, Bob, how you doing?" Me and the inspector. And he goes, "Oh, Al, how you doing?" I said, he goes, "You involved with these guys?" And I said, "Well," and I said, so who's in charge?" And he goes, "That guy over there, Mickey." And I say to Mickey, "Hey, Mickey, I'm an electrician from around here. I'd be happy to help you out." And the inspector goes, "Hey," and this guy actually knows what he's doing. He works at Brookhaven. Other people drill holes and pull Romex. This guy actually can probably fix what's wrong here. And if you hire him, if you say, "Yes, sure, come on aboard," I will say, "Okay, I'll be back." Al, how long would it? I said, "I don't know. Tomorrow. Come back tomorrow around 3. Everything should be fine." And he goes, "Fine, good. Okay. See you later, Mick." So I was like, in again. That guy needed me way more than I needed him. So he basically, I say, so who in your crew are the mechanics, the guys who put up the tents and, assembled the rides, and the mechanics, the guys who know what they're doing with a tool. And there were about six guys, and I said, okay, give them to me. And I gave them all little marching orders. You take this apart, do this. Who here knows about diesel motors? Okay, make sure, I'm unplugging this. You make sure this, you know, diesel motor can, you know, give me this many RPMs, right? With this much torque. And so that was his thing. And the other guys, so by 3 o'clock, I got everything safe. And inspector came back, I hit the switch, everything went, the lights lit up, everything, you know. So, that was that. And the inspector guy goes, and as long as you're here, you need officer, because I know this guy, he's really concerned about those kind of things, and he knows stuff about what you're doing, so he's got to be here. So I got that job, right? And I had no real other big jobs that I had to work on. And it was around beginning of June in this town. Anyway, so I had nothing really to do for the rest of the summer. I mean, there's always, I wasn't working at Brookhaven anymore. I wasn't, had a business with my dad. I stopped doing that. But, I had a license, and yeah, people would come, hey, can you fix this? And yeah, there was always somebody wanting me to do something. So I could be employed, but I had no obligations. And so this was my obligation. So I was doing this. And so and once the thing got going, I kind of basically had nothing to do. So I would sit, and Mickey's RV, he had like the Cadillac of RVs, and he had the artificial grass and a nice dining room table outside with his awning over it, and a bar and the grill. And anyway, I'd go hang out with him, and he'd make cheeseburgers, and we'd have Bloody Marys. And anyway, so we started talking about stuff. And he goes, I really do, I said, didn't you have an electrician? He goes, yeah, but he got put in jail. He was doing other things. And I said, so you got nobody can, yeah, well, you saw the place blow up, And he goes, so we have a full schedule until September. What are you doing until September? And I said, well, I got nothing really planned. And this guy paid me pretty good. I mean, he gave me like $1,500 to do my little magic trick with getting the Bob to sign the permit, right? And to stick around for the 3 days they're going to be in town. And he goes, I can pay you $1,000 a week and give you a place to stay and feed you, and you won't have any real expenses, and I can give you, $1,000 a week. And I said, okay, sounds like a plan. And so I go, where am I going to stay? And he walks me over to this RV, knocks on the door, and this most amazing, slinky woman shows up, and he goes, you're going to stay with her. And guess what her name was? Sofia, right? So, and guess what she did? She was a magician slash, she read your cards, she read your everything, runes, the whole thing. Now, I wasn't quite the reader advisor I am now, and she was the one who showed me everything. I knew how to, the old crone had shown me all of that, and the tea woman, she also showed me a lot. But Sophia, she was a, super professional, and see all of this, sleight of hand, and that's really what it is entertainment. You got to be a vaudevillian star. So anyway, she had she actually had a tent. She had an RV, she had a tent. And the bed, she didn't like the bed. And that's why the guy knew that, he knew that she didn't sleep in the little bedroom of the RV, that she had this tent and that she had her whole thing in. And that's where she was. So he knew, I mean, the only place really I could stay was in her RV in that bed there. Anyway, and I liked that bed. So she looked at me askant, but this guy and everybody was related. They were all their relations in this carnival. And the first night, Mickey and I really sat down and he brought out the poutine. I said, "Poutine, where'd you get this?" He goes, "Well, I made it." I go, "You made this?" And I said, "You from Ireland?" He goes, what does my voice sound like? I said, "Well, you sound like you're from Minnesota, but," and he goes, "I'm a O'Connell." I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "Do you know Terry O'Connell in Skibbereen?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's my cousin. That's where we're from." And my friend Terry O'Connell was a gypsy in Skibbereen. He lived in a wagon along the side of the road. And and so I said, "So what tribe are you from?" And so anyway, and that's the thing about gypsies. They're all related all around the frigging world. So, from June till September, I traveled the East Coast and then back down to almost Florida. And I kind of jumped off back in New York because I taught a few of the mechanical guys to be electricians and how to do it. Because, I'm real happy to do whatever needs to be done to make it work and be safe the first time because it's like magic. And that's why Sofia liked me. Because she was the person, "Oh, you're a magician at this stuff." And that's why she liked me. Once she got to like me. At first, she didn't like me. She thought I was too anything. Hey, he's not a gypsy. Hey, he's not this. He's not this. He's not this. He's not that. But after a certain point, she started to like me. But anyway, so what happens, I want to teach people how to be an electrician. So once, we hit the third, they helped me fix it the first time. Second time, they helped me set it up better. And the third time, we figured out how to really set it up so it'd be safe and easy to set up. Fourth time, they knew how to do it. And then I just kind of went along because I had my little union card. I had all the, I had, Local 3, IBW, NABIF, and IATSE, and I had a master electrician's license from New York City, which is like the godhead of being an electrician. Anyway, and in Local 3, I was a union rep. I was union rep at 19 because nobody wanted to do that job. Anyway, so I had all these nice little pieces of paper that I could, wherever town we went in, and we'd have to deal with. And I would go down to, I wouldn't wait for them to come to us. Once the place was being pulled down, Sophia and I would get into her car and drive to the next town. And he had already, Mick had already gotten and they had been in these places before, so they knew people. And he had the paperwork in the wintertime when they were down in Florida, they'd have, be sending all the paperwork into all these towns to, get a time, place. But to get it set up, you still had to go to the building department and go through that dance. So we would go up there, and everyone's taking things down and putting into the truck. We would drive in her car up to the next town and get a nice motel room and then go find the inspector. And I'd have photos of everything and diagrams of everything and a layout, a plot of where we're going to put everything. And and all the paperwork had already been in with the city, and we would be so nice and so clean. And Sophia was always the flirt and sweet to all the older men. They would just be, and she was like a Jedi Knight. These aren't the droids you're looking for. She could really talk these guys. And so she taught me how to do all of that. She is the one who made me into the shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic anthropologist, shaman. Alchemist. Anyway, so, we would get all that done, and the guys would roll in, we'd do it, the guy would come, he'd stamp it, it'd be all good. And that's why Mick was happy to give me $1,000 a week because He said, this is the smoothest ride we've ever had. You've got this down to a science. And that's what I do. I'm a strategist. I turn it into something that's easy instead of something that's like going to the dentist. Yeah, they were. The grandpas, the two drunk Aborigines. Well, we can do that. I mean, we kind of did that. We went into state and we went to their thing, and we can go back there. You know, we can. That can be one of the. And you can go there. You know, next time we go there, maybe tomorrow night, we'll go back to the Nook and Bar. We'll go back to Christmas Creek, and we'll spend a longer instead of taking the journey to there. We'll get there right off the bat, and we'll spend the year that I spent there with them. And you can, you know, all the magic things that they did. So, and because we had so much fun. I mean, it was, you know, because there were people who could, you know, they could, when I was there in 77, it was legal for white people to just go kill Aborigines. It was still part of like what it was to be a white, you know, Australian dude. Now, the cities, they didn't do that, but out there in the hinterlands and you know, in what they call, they're not ranches, they're called stations. Out there in the stations, it's real easy. A drunk white guy goes out there and blows Aborigines away. No one even bothers to look. But, you know, back when Rudy was mayor, he had a secret police force that rode around New York City and killed 900 black young men. And the black people were like livid about this, and they used to call it, you know, stop and frisk. Meaning, stop and frisk was the euphemism for a group of unmarked police without any badges stopping, getting out of the car, and filling some poor black youth with bullet holes. They called that euphemistically lead poisoning. And you know, the average number of bullets in the deceased young black man was close to 70 bullets. I mean, there was not much left of the deceased. And that was whenever Giuliani was mayor, you know, somewhere in the 90s and O's, you know, and that, you know, that was Rudy. And the only reason that stopped was they shot some diplomat's kid up near the UN. You know, he was like walking down with 2 bags of groceries for his mom on 36th Street, which was, you know, where all the white rich people lived, and no black guy should be there. And these policemen rolled up on this kid. He was like going up the steps to to where his parents, who were diplomats, lived. He was from Africa, and they shot him 42 times. Now, that street was where a lot of diplomats lived. So the Secret Service had a little post right there on the street, and they had TV cameras all up and down that street so they could see what was going on. And so these guys just rolled up on this kid, and before they could get back in the cop, the Secret Service were on him with machine guns and had him on the ground, and then took him back to the Secret Service depot. And that's when Rudy came in and said, oh, no, those are my policemen. You can't do that. And they said, well, they shot a frigging diplomat's son. And, well, he must have been doing something wrong. Yeah, he had 2 bags of groceries going up his front steps. That's what he was doing wrong. And then it kind of got into a thing. And so it was going to be, you know, swept under the rug. And, you know, and what happened was somebody in the Secret Service just, you know, somebody just had an ounce of righteousness, and he took that videotape and gave it to the 5 TV networks in New York City and told them, you're the only one I'm giving it to. And they all played it, like on the 6 o'clock news that evening. And that's what stopped Rudy's little death march. And so, that's America. And that's what Australia is. And that is the sociopathic dynamic of our political structure. That's what we got. That's why we're eating GMOs. That's why we're breathing in, nanotechnology and every other kind of toxic crap. Because and that's why that we live in a prison planet. We live in a planet of abundance, and we are starving to death while we're dying of obesity. And that is what we have to deal with, and the only weapon we can use is art. Jane, when she said that, that's 100% it. Waltzing Matilda. Yeah, that's kind of what that is. Waltzing Matilda is that's a song about, killing the indigenous. Anyway. Fart tuber. I'm always hungry. Well, I was always hungry for a good 15 years, but then I weighed 500 pounds and then I died. And now I weigh, 235. And, and from last September to about 2 weeks ago when I had my, big time look under the hood and they checked everything, I lost 35 pounds. And that's what I do. I lose a pound here, a pound there, a pound here, a pound there. Just keep losing it. Not a lot, because that's not good for you, But I keep losing a pound here and there, and I keep it off, Yeah. And it's not, it's like I can eat anything I want. I just can't eat a lot of it. I go out and have breakfast. I eat a third of it. And then I eat the next third the next morning here, or, every meal I get out, I eat 8 times. I turn it into other meals over and over because I don't have that. I can spend $10 on breakfast if I eat it 4 different times during that week. Because then it's like $2. Well, you have to understand, why is that? Why aren't you getting that sense of satiation? Maybe it's the stuff you're eating, and that's kind of my thing. It's like what I eat satiates me. So I've gotten away from the sweets, the fast foods, the this, the that, and those are the things that don't really, they put on pounds, they put on fat, but they don't satiate. Now, you have to figure out, and see, that's the thing. Not everyone's the same. So not everything satiates everybody, right? Like, I love oatmeal. Oatmeal satiates. You can eat as much oatmeal as you want. That's not going to put fat on it. It's really good for your blood glucose, and it's really good for cholesterol, and it's really good for a lot of stuff. So that's, I make a big pot of oatmeal, and I, eat it. It gets like thick, and then it gets kind of, like Jello, but more fibery. And then I just kind of break off chunks and chew on it. Make a big pot of it and chew on it for the next 2 or 3 days. And when I make it, I put bananas in it and apples in it and cinnamon in it and a little soy sauce and olive oil and seasonings and hot sauce, and it's really yummy. So that doesn't put on any weight. I eat fruit that doesn't put on oatmeal. Yep. That's how I really lost the first 60 pounds. I was stuck up on the mountain, and all I had to eat was oatmeal and onions. And I still like that. Yep. Bug Nuts, how you doing, buddy? So 2 hours. Okay. It's 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 8 seconds. So at 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds, I'm going to say goodnight. So I'm going to go back to watching I've been gorging myself on Battlestar Galactic. No, on Babylon 5. It's a really hokey show, but whoever wrote this did a pretty good writing job. The writing is very good. The acting's pretty good, but they made it hokey on purpose. It was made between 91 and 96, so they didn't have the super duper high tech special everything. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to watching that, and so 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. Not quite yet. We're at 21 minutes and 59. Vegan. Again, everybody's different. You have to find what's good for you. Vegan's good for, there's this whole kind of Indian medicine, and there's Pitta, Kapha. They're different types of people. And to have good health, those different types of people eat different types of food. So you got to figure out what's your food and eat that. I had a girlfriend, she ate milkshakes and cheeseburgers and cheesecake. We lived near the Cheesecake Factory. And there was a point, we lived in a place in Manhattan, down on the Lower East Side, where there were about 6 different cheesecake stores. And when we'd have our potluck dinners, and people would bring some people would cook stuff, make stuff, but a lot of people would just, oh, I'm walking by this place. And it was kind of a nasty neighborhood, but for some reason, there were all these cheesecake manufacturers. And they mostly sold them to restaurants, but they had a little store where you go in and buy the cheesecake that someone stepped on. And, for, instead of $40 a cheesecake, it was like $3. And so every Saturday, our refrigerator would be full of cheesecake because a lot of people would, right? Anyway, she loved cheesecake, so she was happy because she'd eat that every day. She never gained an ounce, and I know pretty much if I have a friend, they're a friend for life, Now, I may not see them, but I still talk to them, still meditate towards them. They still come to me in my dreams. And then we kind of meet up. Hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. And so anyway, so she was about 32 when we were together. About 4 years ago, I met her, and she was like, 62. And she was still looked the same. She was still shapely, still good. I said, and, what did she have in her little kit bag of food? She had, cheesecake and candy bars, you know. Go figure. So that's what she ate. She didn't gain any weight. She's, in perfect health. It works for her, not for me, but I can still have one slice of cheesecake, in a month. I can still have that cookie. I can still have whatever. I mean, I do not feel like, oh, I have to be on a diet, can only eat, only be vegan. No, I still eat Spam, but not cans of it. I eat a good portion of the stuff I eat when I'm out and I don't buy at a restaurant. I have no money right now for the next, let's until the 16th of April. So, I'll eat out of a dumpster. And I showed you guys on a live chat me eating out of a dumpster. I dumpster food. I kind of, I found a plastic bag in the dumpster and I filled it up with food and ate, on camera, me eating food out of the dumpster. And it was fine. It wasn't rotten, didn't have insects, wasn't diseased. It, was only been there a little while, and it was good food. It was a nice meal. So, everyone can eat different things. You just got to figure out what will keep you healthy and what will satiate you. So you want. Yep, cheesecake. But back in the day when I worked for the Desperate Lawyers, I'd like eat 6 of them in an evening. I don't do that. I can still have one slice. Yes, I need one of those accounts, but I've tried to figure out how to do it. I haven't even been able to log on. It won't accept my Gmail account. It's like, I need somebody to help me do these things. Because look, I'm wearing 2 pairs of glasses. Sometimes, I need to wear 4 pairs. It's yes, I live fine by leaving it up to the universe, but yes, as we move forward into doing other things, we kind of have to get a little more business-like. That's all. Yep. Needs to be said again. Okay, we're getting close to where we're going to jump off here. Well, this was a good chat. I love taking you on these journeys. I'm glad you enjoyed the fire pit. And, well, go back. I mean, that's the beauty of YouTube. Go back and see it. And what's great about these shows is that every one I juice up shamanically. So even when it's like, is it real or Memorex? Meaning, even when you watch it the next day or a month later or 6 months later, I mean, I've been going back and watching some of the first ones I did when I had no idea what I was doing. They're pretty good. They still have the tang of the shamanic energy, and the all of the guided meditations are valid, are still strong. Still take you there, right? I'll take you there. Ooh, I'll take you there. So, okay, another 50 seconds, and I'm gonna shine off because then it'll be 2:30. I'll take you there. See how time quick flies by. Yep, I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm still knocking 2 of these out a day. Like I said, I'm up to 500 shows. And Dragon, thanks for sending me those thumb drives. You're the man. And I hope all of you are documenting these things, putting them on your. One of the cadre does this really fun thing where he takes it, puts it on his computer screen, and then he takes his phone and he does a science fiction 3000 where he's got these little puppets between his computer screen and his cell phone, and they're cracking jokes about what I'm doing. It's really hilarious. And the more you guys did stuff like that, I would love it. And that's why, see, I am this Aquarian who loves to do, I am the guy who loves co-creation. I don't want to be the miserable guy all by myself. I did it all. I wrote it. I directed it. I started it. No, don't want to do that. I love doing stuff with people. That's why I do this, because I'm doing it with you guys, So this was a nice one. We had at least, pretty much the whole evening, we had more than 7 people that were on the counter, meaning I realized as I go back and look at the other data loops that, it says 7 at this moment. When the thing's all over, maybe 30 people had watched it during it, right? So anyway. But we're just about up to that place where I'm going to say goodnight. And I'll see you tomorrow in the AM or, early afternoon or somewhere around there. Okay? Okay. Okay. Okay.